Vice Minister Beck, Ministers, Excellencies, it is a great pleasure for me to be here and to speak before this audience, and I'm grateful for your kind invitation. We in the OSCE have placed dialogue at the center of our efforts to promote security cooperation and to prevent conflicts. In this vein, I see this Seoul Security Dialogue as an excellent opportunity to discuss key security challenges facing the Asia-Pacific region today. I hope it will continue as a forum to nurture dialogue on contemporary security issues for many years to come. The interaction between OSCE and the Republic of Korea, one of our longest-standing Asian partner countries, is rich indeed. Next year will mark the 20th anniversary of this partnership. Since 2001, Korea has hosted 4 meetings of the OSCE's Asian partners. Last year, I was invited to give a keynote address at the Jeju Forum and also the Korea Foundation here in Seoul. And only last month, the OSCE participated in Seoul Cyberspace Conference. I believe that this ongoing sharing of experiences responds to the desire of our Korean partners to gain a better understanding of the OSCE's model of comprehensive cooperative security. I hope to add to that understanding during my current visit to your country in these days. This past summer, I was honored to welcome Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Cho to Vienna. He introduced to us President Park's trust politic and the initial concept of the Northeast Asia Peace and Cooperation Initiative. I encourage the Republic of Korea's efforts to build trust. In the case of the OSCE, trust building was one of the essential elements that enabled the participating states to develop and agree to the comprehensive approach to security that made the OSCE unique, one could say even revolutionary, at the time of its introduction. But I must emphasize that building trust should be seen as both a process and an end goal. It takes time and patience, and often there are setbacks during the way. As an outsider and not an expert of Northeast Asian security, I want to stress that any regional security arrangement is the product of the political context in which it operates. Obviously, the Northeast Asian context is unique, and your approach to building trust and cooperation will ultimately reflect the interests and values of all stakeholders. My chief aim here is to relate the OSCE's own experience of multilateral cooperation in the field of security. But let me be clear, I will not be making suggestions about how the Northeast Asia Peace and Cooperation Initiative should work. That is a matter for negotiation between you and your partners. Instead, I hope that you may find inspiration in the OSCE experience in building cooperative security. In 2015, the OSCE will celebrate the 40th anniversary of the signing of the Helsinki Final Act, a historic triumph of cooperation over conflict. In 1975, after a marathon process of negotiations that involved literally thousands of meetings and countless proposals, the parties to the Conference on Security and Cooperation in Europe, the CSCE, came together to agree on a basis for interstate relations. The result was the Helsinki Decalogue, 10 principles that remain a foundation for the OSCE today. The signing of the Helsinki Final Act was all the more striking because the 2 main blocs of the Cold War era had distinct, even mutually opposing political goals. Nonetheless, they were able to find common ground. So, what made this cooperation possible? Certainly, the most important factor is context. One needs an environment that is ripe for such an agreement. Even more important was a willingness to engage and to compromise, in particular on the part of the leadership in Washington and Moscow at the time. Another component was the role of countries perceived as neutral, such as Sweden, Switzerland, Austria, of course Finland, and many others, which were able to play a constructive and facilitating role between alliances with different interests and opposing worldviews. The Helsinki Final Act achieved the balance between differing emphasis in the definition of key principles. On one hand, there was a desire to achieve recognition for the borders established in post-war Europe. On the other hand, there was a desire to ensure that human rights were included in the definition of security. The compromise was that self-determination and fundamental freedoms were to be advanced within existing borders and through the exercise of sovereign responsibilities of existing states. Respect for human rights was and continues to be an integral part of that vision. Indeed, a central legacy of Helsinki is the OSCE's comprehensive approach to security, which encompasses three dimensions: the political, military, economic and environmental, and the human dimension. This comprehensive view was revolutionary in 1975. The balance between these dimensions was the result of an intensive process of negotiation and was key to achieving agreements on the overall approach of the CSE. In this balance, all parties found adequate space for their own priorities, thus providing an accepted platform for the engagement of all sides. In 1994, almost 20 years after Helsinki, the Conference on Security and Cooperation in Europe became an organization. The change resulted from the need to reflect the new order and developments following the end of the Cold War, and in particular to respond to the conflicts of the early 90s in the OSCE space. Out of this experience, the OSCE also developed its field operations, which assist participating states to meet their commitments. As a result, we have today some 15 operations with more than 1,500 people working in the field. At the 2010 OSCE summit in Astana, our participating states recognized that the security of our region is inextricably linked with that of neighboring regions. We're therefore strengthening relationships with our partners for cooperation in Asia and the Mediterranean, while developing a more strategic approach to our larger neighborhood. Afghanistan is one of our partners for cooperation, and how to most effectively address its transition and the impact on the broader Eurasian region remains high on the OSCE security agenda. In 2012, we witnessed a very welcome development when Mongolia, which had been an OSCE partner for cooperation, became our 57th participating state. This addition to our ranks has enhanced the Eurasian components of the OSCE security community. Meanwhile, Libya has applied to become a partner for cooperation. Clearly, the OSCE continues to offer an appealing model for cooperation.